Welcome back to Book to Read. We are hitting a milestone today,
Oh, yeah.
episode 15.
Wow.
And to celebrate, we're diving headfirst into the world of Veronica Roth's Divergent.
Oh, Divergent. It's not just a young adult dystopian novel. It's a thought-provoking exploration of societal pressures and identity and the consequences of blind obedience.
Exactly. And what better way to kick off this deep dive than by exploring the faction system? 5 distinct factions, each embodying a core value. Abnegation for the selfless amity, for the peaceful candor for the honest mon. Dauntless for the brave, and erudite for the intelligent.
This system is so intriguing because it forces us to consider the complexities of human nature. Can we truly be defined by a single dominant trait? And what happens when our natural inclinations clash with the expectations of our designated faction?
That's what makes Tris Pryor, our protagonist, such a compelling character. Raised in abnegation, she's always felt like a square peg in a round hole.
Right.
And then comes the choosing ceremony, this pivotal event where 16-year-olds choose their faction for life, often leaving their families behind.
The choosing ceremony is more than just a coming-of-age ritual. It's a powerful symbol of the societal pressure to conform, to fit neatly into predetermined boxes. And Tris, with her divergent nature, represents a challenge to that very system.
And to make matters even more complicated, her brother Caleb chooses erudite, leaving Tris feeling even more lost and alone. Talk about sibling rivalry with dystopian stakes.
Caleb's choice isn't just a plot device. It highlights the fracturing of family ties within this faction-based society. It underscores the idea that loyalty to one's faction often supersedes personal bonds.
Which brings us to the aptitude test, a seemingly objective measure designed to determine an individual's best-suited faction. But as we learn, even the most sophisticated systems can't always account for human complexity.
All right.
Tris's inconclusive test results are a turning point in the story.
Yeah.
They reveal her as divergent, someone who doesn't fit neatly into any one faction. And in this world, being different isn't celebrated, it's perceived as a threat.
Damn it.
Why is that? What makes divergence so dangerous in Veronica Roth's world?
Divergents represent a wild card, an unpredictable element that disrupts the carefully maintained order of the factions. They can't be easily controlled or manipulated, which makes them a potential threat to those in power.
And it's this fear of the unknown that leads Tris to be warned by Tori, the test administrator, to keep her divergence a secret. It's a chilling reminder that even in a seemingly structured society, there are forces at play that operate in the shadows.
The secrecy surrounding Divergence adds a layer of suspense to the story. It makes you question who to trust and what the true motives of those in power might be.
Okay, so Tris chooses Dauntless, the faction known for bravery and risk-taking, but the initiation process is brutal, pushing initiates to their physical and mental limits. It's all about confronting fears, proving courage, and surviving in a world that values strength above all else.
Tris's struggle with the violent nature of Dauntless is a key element of her character development. She's forced to confront her own values and question whether she's willing to sacrifice her moral compass for the sake of acceptance.
It's interesting because her struggle highlights a common theme in dystopian fiction, the conflict between individual morality and the demands of a controlling state. It's something we see echoed in books like 1984 and The Hunger Games, where characters have to make difficult choices in the face of oppression.
Exactly. And it's through these choices that we truly understand a character's strength. It's not just about physical prowess, it's about the courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it means going against the grain.
And speaking of going against the grain, let's talk about those fear landscapes. These simulations force initiates to confront their deepest fears. And Tris's ability to manipulate them hints at the power of her divergent mind.
These simulations aren't just about facing personal demons. They represent the way controlling regimes use fear and manipulation to maintain power. In Tris's case, her divergent mind allows her to see through the illusions, symbolizing the importance of critical thinking and independent thought.
That's such a powerful insight. It's like saying we all have the potential to break free from societal conditioning if we dare to question the narratives we're fed.
And that questioning spirit is essential, especially in today's world where we're bombarded with information from all sides.
Before we jump further into Tris's journey, let's take a quick break to talk about Bookspace. It's this awesome community app for all you bookworms out there. You can connect with fellow readers, share your favorite quotes, and even organize your entire library. It's like having a virtual book club at your fingertips.
Sounds like the perfect place to dissect all the twists and turns of Divergent.
It totally is. Now back to the fear landscapes, Tori, Tris's test administrator, drops a bombshell. Crust isn't the first Divergent to transfer to this world. Dauntless, Tori's own brother, died under mysterious circumstances during initiation.
This revelation raises the stakes significantly. It suggests that divergence isn't just a social anomaly, it's a potential death sentence. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about this world and the lengths those in power will go to maintain control.
Suddenly, Trace's journey becomes even more perilous. It's not just about finding her place in society, it's about survival.
And it makes you wonder, is there a connection between Triss's divergence and the fate of Tori's brother? Are divergence being systematically eliminated? The mystery deepens and the danger feels more real than ever.
Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the simmering conflict between erudite and abnegation. It's a battle of ideologies, with erudite, driven by a thirst for knowledge and power, seeking to overthrow the abnegation government, which they view as weak and inefficient.
This conflict highlights the dangers of unchecked ambition and the potential for knowledge to be used as a weapon. It raises questions about the nature of power and the responsibility that comes with it.
And of course, Triss's parents, being leaders in abnegation, become targets of this conspiracy. The personal stakes for Triss couldn't be higher.
It's a classic case of the personal becoming political. Triss's individual journey is now intertwined with the fate of her family and the future of her society. The pressure is immense and the consequences of failure are devastating.
And as the conflict escalates, we're hurtling towards a climax that will leave you breathless. But before we dive into that, we'll leave you hanging for a moment. Stay tuned for part 2 of our Divergent Deep Dive, where we'll unravel the chaos, confront betrayals, and witness Triss's extraordinary resilience. Don't go anywhere.
Ooh, I can't wait. Welcome back to Book to Read.
Where we left off, things were getting pretty intense for Triss, right? She's facing danger on multiple fronts, from the erudite conspiracy to the brutal realities of dauntless initiation.
It's like she's caught in this whirlwind of conflict, both internal and external, and the climax of the book really throws her into the deep end.
The attack on abnegation by the mind-controlled Dauntless is a turning point in the story. It's a chaotic and violent event that forces Therese to confront the true cost of the faction system and the depths of Erudite's manipulation.
And it's not just a political upheaval, it's a deeply personal tragedy for Therese. Her parents are in the heart of the conflict, and she's forced to make impossible choices to protect them.
This is where Roth really excels at blending action with emotional depth. You see Triss grappling with the loss of her innocence, the weight of responsibility, and the realization that the world is far more complex than she ever imagined.
And amidst all this chaos, she's forced to confront Tobias, her dauntless instructor and love interest, who's been injected with the mind control serum. It's a heartbreaking scenario, seeing someone you care about turn into a weapon against their will.
This confrontation highlights the devastating effects of manipulation. It's not just about physical control, it's about erasing someone's identity, their free will. It's a chilling reminder of the power of technology to be used for both good and evil.
For sure.
And then comes the revelation about Triss's mother, Natalie Pryor, who we thought embodied abnegation selflessness. Turns out she was dauntless and divergent, a fact she hid to protect her family.
This twist adds a whole new layer to Triss's understanding of her mother and herself. It challenges the notion of fixed identities and suggests that even in a world defined by rigid categories, individuals are capable of surprising complexity.
And ultimately, Natalie sacrifices herself to save Triss, adding another layer of tragedy to an already emotionally charged situation. It's a moment that underscores the depth of a mother's love and the lengths one will go to protect their child.
This sacrifice also raises questions about the nature of selflessness. Is it truly selfless to deny a part of yourself for the sake of others? And at what point does self-preservation become a necessity, even in a faction that values selflessness above all else?
These are the kinds of questions that make Divergent so thought-provoking. It's not just about surviving a dystopian world, it's about grappling with complex moral dilemmas and coming to terms with who you are in the face of adversity.
Exactly. And as Triss escapes the city with her father and Marcus ending up in the factionless sector, we see her confronting the harsh realities of those who don't conform to the faction system.
The factionless are like a hidden underclass, forgotten and marginalized by the very society that claims to value order and stability. It's a stark contrast to the world Triss has known, and it forces her to reevaluate her own beliefs about belonging and identity.
And while in hiding, Triss's father reveals that the faction system wasn't always the way it was. There was a time when people lived freely without these rigid divisions. It's a glimpse into a forgotten past, a reminder that the current system is not inevitable, but a choice that was made, and perhaps a choice that can be unmade.
This revelation adds a layer of hope to an otherwise bleak situation. It suggests that change is possible, that the cycle of oppression can be broken. But it also raises the question of how to achieve that change, how to dismantle a system that's so deeply ingrained in people's lives.
It's a question that resonates with contemporary society as well. We often find ourselves trapped in systems and structures that no longer serve us, yet we struggle to break free from them.
Trost and her group eventually find refuge in Amity headquarters, hoping to reunite with other dauntless initiates who escaped. But even in Amity, the faction known for peace and harmony, things aren't as idyllic as they seem.
What's interesting here is how Roth subtly challenges the reader's perception of Amity. On the surface, they appear peaceful and welcoming, but beneath that facade, there's a sense of unease, a hint of something darker lurking beneath the surface.
It's like the peace they project is more of a performance than a genuine state of being. And it makes you wonder, can true peace exist in a world where conformity is enforced and dissent is silenced?
It's a question worth pondering. And as Tris struggles to come to terms with the trauma she's experienced, the loss of her mother and the fear for Tobias, we see her inner strength and resilience shining through.
She's not giving up even in the face of unimaginable pain and loss. She's clinging to those core values of bravery and compassion, even as the world around her seems to crumble.
And just when you think she might find a moment of respite, the erudite led by the ruthless Janine Matthews track her down. It turns out they need her divergent mind for their sinister plan. They've developed an advanced simulation serum that can control entire factions, effectively turning them into mindless puppets.
This is where Roth really ramps up the stakes, exploring the terrifying potential of technology for manipulation and control. Janine embodies the dangers of unchecked ambition and the perversion of intellect for nefarious purposes.
She represents a chillingly familiar archetype, the brilliant mind that lacks empathy and morality, driven by a thirst for power at any cost. It's a warning against the dangers of valuing knowledge over compassion. And it's particularly relevant in a world where technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace.
And to make matters worse, Tobias has been captured and forced to become Janine's test subject for this new simulation serum.
This development highlights the vulnerability of even the strongest individuals to manipulation and control. It's a reminder that no one is immune to the seductive allure of power, especially when it's wielded by someone as cunning and ruthless as Janine.
But Tris, being divergent, is immune to the serum's effects. This both terrifies and intrigues Janine, who sees Tris as a key to unlocking the secrets of the Virgins.
This is where the dual nature of divergence becomes even more apparent. On one hand, it's a threat to those in power, a symbol of resistance and unpredictability. But on the other hand, it holds the potential for understanding and breaking free from systems of control.
It's like divergence represents a glitch in the matrix, a force that can disrupt the carefully crafted illusions that keep people in line. And Janine, obsessed with control, is determined to exploit that glitch for her own twisted purposes.
And so she forces Tris into another simulation, this one designed to break her and uncover the secrets of her divergent mind. It's a battle of wills, a psychological showdown between a young woman determined to hold on to her individuality and a ruthless leader who seeks to bend everyone to her will.
It's a classic David and Goliath scenario, with Tris facing seemingly insurmountable odds. But as we've seen throughout the story, she's not one to back down from a challenge.
And she proves her resilience once again, managing to use her divergence to manipulate the simulation, turning it against Janine and exposing her plot to the remaining dauntless leaders. It's a moment of triumph, a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be controlled.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can emerge from unexpected places, and that the fight for freedom is often waged on multiple fronts, from the battlefields to the depths of our own minds.
But even though Tris exposes Janine's scheme, she's still trapped within the simulated reality. And things take a turn for the worse when she encounters a simulated version of Tobias who's also under Janine's control.
It's like she's facing a double betrayal, a twisted reflection of her own love turned against her. It's a devastating blow, and it forces her to confront the possibility of losing Tobias, not to death, but to this mind-numbing control that strips him of his agency.
This confrontation is a powerful exploration of love loss and the enduring strength of human connection, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It raises profound questions about the nature of identity, the boundaries of free will, and the limits of manipulation.
And in a moment of desperation, Tris makes a choice that will leave you speechless. She decides to sacrifice herself, believing it's the only way to wake Tobias up and break him free from the simulation's control. It's an act of ultimate selflessness, a gamble that could either save him or destroy them both.
It's a cliffhanger ending that leaves you on the edge of your seat, wondering if Triss's gamble will pay off, how this twisted plot will unfold, and what this means for the future of this world. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll dive into the resolution of this gripping tale and explore the lasting impact of Divergent on our understanding of identity choice and the power of resistance.
So we left off with Triss, right, making this huge sacrifice, basically offering herself up to snap Tobias out of Janine's control. It was crazy.
Talk about a cliffhanger. I mean, talk about going above and beyond for someone.
I know, total nail biter. I was like, is this it? Is this the end for Triss? But then, wait for it.
Yeah.
Something incredible happens.
Something incredible. Okay, tell me.
Okay, so Tobias, he hesitates, he doesn't fire. And for just a second, you see it, his true self, his divergent nature, like pushing through.
Wow.
Right? It was such a relief. I mean, I was like, phew. And then, bam, he breaks free. Tobias, or 4, as he's known in Dauntless, he's back in control. He just shatters the simulation's hold over him.
So what happens next?
Well, they team up, obviously, to take down Janine and her whole messed up plan. They get into the simulation's control room, and, this is the best part, Triss uses her divergence to broadcast a message to all the Dauntless soldiers, like to everyone. It breaks the simulation for everyone and exposes the truth about Erudite, about everything.
It's like this massive wake-up call.
It is, like a total rebellion, taking back their minds, breaking free from those mental chains.
Oh, I love.
And from there, things get really intense. Lots of action, fighting guards, racing against time to stop the simulation from, like, infecting the other faction.
So they're fighting for everyone now.
Totally. It's not just about Dauntless anymore. It's about saving their whole society, right? Like, redefining what it means to be part of any faction.
That's pretty deep.
It is. But even with all the action and stuff, Triss is still dealing with, like, the emotional weight of everything, right? Her mom, her relationship with Tobias, it's a lot.
Oh, yeah. She's been through so much.
I know, right? It makes her journey even more powerful, I think, because she's not just some symbol of rebellion. She's just a young woman dealing with all this crazy stuff. Makes her seem more real, more heroic somehow.
Definitely humanizes her.
Exactly. And then, finally, they confront Janine. This huge standoff, like a battle of wills,
And who wins?
Triss. Not through force or anything, but through, like, her courage and compassion, her belief in choice, It's a huge win for those who believe in a world where people are valued for who they are, not for their faction.
I love that message.
Me too. It's what makes Divergent so powerful, I think. It leaves you with a sense of hope, Like, even when things are dark, we have the power to choose, to change things, to fight for something better.
A great note to end on.
Totally. So there you have it, folks. Another deep dive completed, and this one was a roller coaster.
It really was. I'm still processing everything.
Me too. But hey, that's what good books do, right? They make us think, make us feel, Dia. And if you want to keep the conversation going, head over to Bookspace, share your thoughts, your questions, connect with other readers. It's a great community.
Bookspace, the perfect place to unpack all those big ideas.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this Divergent deep dive. And remember, even in a world divided, there's strength in unity. We'll see you next time for another exciting read. Until then, happy reading.